So welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on the fights which took place on the weekend in regards to Felix Cash versus Tyler Denny and Lewis Crocker versus Connor Walker. Now overall the event was a decent event which was on, and the two main cards on the bill. Let's first start with the main event, Tyler Denny versus Felix Catch. Was a good competitive fight for as long as it pretty much lasted. And in my pre-fight video for Tyler Denny and Felix Cash, I pretty much said from the get-go, in terms of skill, ability, it's all about Felix Cash there. But in terms of heart, work rate, ferociousness, it's all about Tyler Denny. And obviously Tyler Denny was in some good form coming into this fight. He was obviously match fit, he's very active, he's fighting regular. And that's something that Felix Cash didn't have. And a lot of props here have to go to Tyler Denny, you know what I mean? Because for what he's done to where he is now, is sensational in my eyes. Because Tyler Denny a couple of years ago, like, no one pretty much knew about him really, and it wasn't until just after COVID, that first River Wilson Bent fight, which pretty much made him. And I don't know what happened in his career, what changed, but something happened behind the scenes, and he's obviously now taking boxing serious, and he believes that he could beat any of these middleweights that are out there, especially the British ones. So fair play, and a lot of props goes there to him. He obviously retains his European title. He beat Felix Cash on points, even though it was only a 5-rounder, technical decision. So yeah, he won that. Obviously there was a cut to Cash's eye. The referee stopped it. But honestly, he was the one who looked as if he was gonna make something happen, cause a stoppage. Felix Cash, yeah, he had skill, and when he decided to box, he looked good for sporadic moments, but it just wasn't enough. He couldn't keep Tyler Denny off him, and I've said that multiple times. People underestimate Tyler Denny because they think, oh, he hasn't got no skill, he can't match me. But his heart, that work rate, that ferociousness, that keep coming forward is that difference, and he proved it again. And his saying at the end of the night was, you know what I mean, my name should be thrown in there with the likes of Chris Eubank Jr. And Hamza Shiraz. Now, just my opinion on these two fights potentially, I feel as if the Chris Eubank fight would probably be a more feasible fight if I had to choose between him and Hamza Shiraz to fight against Tyler Denny. Reason being, Chris Eubank Jr. isn't active at this present moment in time. He is a very good boxer. He's probably the biggest name in British middleweight scene at this moment. But he isn't the most dangerous British middleweight in my eyes, and that's Hamza Shiraz. I feel as if Tyler Denny tries to go up against someone like Hamza Shiraz, I just feel as if Hamza Shiraz has got too much for him. I feel as if even on Hamza Shiraz's worst night, he still beats Tyler Denny out. He's too smart. He's too game. He would keep Tyler Denny at bay with his jab, and obviously will pull out the stoppage. Yeah, if that fight was to be made, I'd say what, 3-4 rounds, Hamza Shiraz quite comfortably. And I like Tyler Denny. It's just Hamza Shiraz is different bread and butter. However, if Tyler Denny was to take on someone like Chris Eubank Jr., I feel as if he would have a little bit more success, because obviously it's like that trajectory. Chris Eubank's coming down now in his career. He's getting older. He's looking for the big money fights. Isn't as active. Probably still training behind the scenes, but he's not active in terms of boxing scene. Whereas Tyler Denny is active, he's confident, he's motivated, and he's a worker. And he could take some shots. He's quite durable, so he will stick it to Chris Eubank Jr. So I feel that would be a better fight for Tyler Denny. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. Brilliant performance from Tyler Denny, and he goes on. And obviously when the boxing rankings get updated for the middleweight scene, we will see Tyler Denny being pushed up there in the middleweight scene in the WBC last month. He was ranked number 14, and that's pretty much where he was ranked in terms of the governing bodies, apart from the IBF where he was ranked number 15. But I certainly, after that win, he will be pushed up there a lot higher, and Felix Cash will drop out as well. Felix Cash was like number 7 in the middleweight ring magazine ratings, which is very high. So whether or not Tyler Denny takes that spot or will get pushed into the ring magazine ratings, time will tell. But certainly I expect Cash to drop out the rankings and Denny to be pushed up. Now, in terms of the fight, which was the co-main event, and that was between Lewis Crocker and Conor Walker, what a fight. What a fight. Now, this was the best fight on the card for me, and potentially could be fight of the year, potentially. Still early, obviously. But yeah, these two guys went toe-to-toe. Lewis Crocker got the decision in the end, and it was about right in my estimation, in my thoughts really. I just felt as if Lewis Crocker was the one that looked composed, comfortable, and even when Conor Walker was sticking it to Crocker, he was still relaxed, and he was like, okay, cool, is that all you got? All right, cool, this is what I've got. And then he kept doing that throughout the whole fight, and he was winning rounds that he shouldn't have won because Conor Walker, was pulling it to him, and he was winning a lot of these rounds quite comfortably. But then the last 45, maybe 30 seconds, Crocker would come back and land some brilliant eye-catching shots, and that's potentially what obviously catch the judge's eyes in the end, because obviously he remains undefeated at the minute. He's 20-0 with 11 KOs to his name, and he is going to be pushed up there now in the welterweight rankings. And there's, some decent welterweights British wise out there, which I would like him to potentially go up against. Probably the biggest welterweight at the minute in Britain that we have is Conor Benn, but whether or not that fight could get made because of obviously all the stuff that's going on in the background with Conor Benn, we don't know. But if all that wasn't going ahead in terms of Conor Benn's situation, and they were able to make the fight, who would you consider the favourite in that fight? Conor Benn versus Lewis Crocker. Tough fight to call. I know quite a lot of pundits would probably say Conor Benn because obviously he's been in there with better opposition, blah blah blah. But for me, it's a tough fight. I think skill for skill, Crocker's got it. But in terms of Crocker actually being tested on his chin and actually getting hurt, I don't know yet. We've seen Conor Benn being hurt multiple times, but Crocker's took punches. Don't get me wrong, he's been clipped and he's been wobbled a few times, but it hasn't gone to the point where he's actually been hurt and like, can he like get back into the fight sort of thing. But Crocker is certainly a prospect which I'm gonna keep my eyes on and keep potentially watching his fights going forward. And also to the loser as well, Conor Walker. Brilliant performance from him, and he was someone who I didn't know much about prior to this fight, and is someone that I probably will keep an eye on in his next fight. And I do believe that he could come back from this defeat because of the performance that he gave, and on a different day he would have got given that decision. So I certainly will stay tuned in terms of his next fight, and I believe the future could still be bright for him. These days a loss isn't anything. You can have a few losses on your record and come back quite strong. So yeah, certainly there's high hopes there for Conor Walker. Where does he go next? Not too sure. Maybe see who the European champion is and probably go up against him. Or maybe try and entice some of the other British ranking fighters like Echo Esserman or Harry Scarf into a fight. Or maybe even an old like Liam Taylor potentially. But where does Crocker go from here? He will be pushed up in the rankings next month. He obviously wants to get his eyes set on a world title, but whether that happens, I don't know. But there is talk about, is it Paddy Donovan? Which I don't know a lot about Paddy Donovan. He's an Irish fighter. He's 14-0. So there's talk about that fight. So yeah, as I said, I don't know a lot about Paddy Donovan, but apparently he's meant to be a very, very good fighter. So they're talking about that in the background. But there's some brilliant fights out there for Lewis Crocker. I just don't want him to. I just don't want to see him get pushed too much too soon in terms of giving him, like, feeding him to the lions, because that could ruin him. He is a good prospect at this stage of his career. That's my thoughts on the weekend show. I know this was a long video. I thought I'd just do one video instead of two separate videos in regards to the weekend's matchups and the shows, but just my thoughts in regards to the Tyler Denny versus Felix Cash and Lewis Crocker versus Conor Walker fights as well. And I think going forward, I probably will do one big video in regards to all the fights on certain cards rather than the small ones as well. Just takes up a little bit of time doing the videos and editing, etc., etc. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. Where would you like to see Tyler Denny go next? What do you think Felix Cash should do with his career? What about Lewis Crocker? Who would you like to see him in there with next? And what route would you like him to go? European, maybe world title? What about Conor Walker? Do you feel that he could potentially become a champion one day? As always, guys, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Bless.